desperate really. Palace is certainly a bogey team for Villa, no doubt about it, but Villa didn't get going today. Really disappointing. Going forward, lacking ideas. Defensively, cut open a couple of times. Mateta missing a penalty even before Sarr made it 2 and then 3-0. He was always going to be involved today, Sarr. There's a scoring, a stunning opening goal. It's the script that Villa have seen before, really, against Palace. They've now beaten Villa 4 times in 11 months, which is it's mad, really. Villa, sometimes you don't play a team. Usually you don't play a team more than twice in the space of a year. Obviously, played Palace not just 3 times but 4. And, they've been on the end of some thrashings, and today was that. To be perfectly honest with you, Palace were full value for their win against Villa again. And listen, Villa are going to have to pick themselves up, but it's a really tough one to take, because this felt like a massive opportunity this season to win a trophy and win the FA Cup, something Villa haven't done now for over 60 years and counting, unfortunately. Man City and Nottingham Forest, both brilliant sides in their own right, but so are Villa. Since Unai Emery's come through the door, don't know this for certain, but they're certainly in the top 5 in terms of points, probably 4th to be honest. Yet haven't got over the line. 2 semi-finals, which is a real shame, because last season against Olympiacos, that was a massive opportunity for Villa in the Conference League. Credit to Olympiacos, they were a good team and they played well against Villa, and also Villa were gassed. They were on the last legs really at that point in the campaign. This season is different though. Villa before today didn't really have any injuries in the last few weeks. Well, they didn't have any injuries. That of course changed as soon as I brought it up in the press room before. Marcus Rashford injured for weeks, Unai Emery says, so we don't know this for certain, but obviously doesn't have a chance. He's played his last game for Villa. 3 weeks until Villa play Tottenham, which is their penultimate game, and then of course they go to Old Trafford on the final day, but Rashford won't be able to play that game anyway. So chance that he's maybe played his last game for the club, but Unai Emery said in press conference that they'll take it kind of game by game. It is a hamstring problem though, so we know hamstring problems. I like that. It could be. We'll wait and find out. And not having him was like a pre-match blow, but Villa have got more than enough quality to cause problems to any team. And apart from one opportunity, which was actually the first opportunity of the game, does Villa threaten too much? Not really. Box been recorded. That's a shame. Just the feeling of walking down here, if Villa had won, would have been so different. Not to be, and of course, in a few weeks as well for the FA Cup final, where it's difficult. You kind of look ahead to those days and being involved in it. Now that Villa are here, they'll have to wait a little bit longer though. And to be fair, as I said before, semi-final of the Conference League, semi-final of the FA Cup, Villa competing to win the league. Clearly, this is a club going places and has gone places in terms of quarterfinals of the Champions League. So, serious progression happening in front of our eyes. Don't get me wrong. But getting over the line is something that every club has to do. You have to start winning at some point, and winning breeds winning. It's always the conversations in the podcast about, would you rather win the FA Cup, or would you rather qualify for the Champions League? For me, it's always trophy. When you win your trophy, the first one, it sets up future success, and you go into these games with a different mentality. At 2-0 down, put it this way, when Mateta missed his penalty, that should have been a galvanising moment. When Mateta had a goal ruled out, Konsa fouled, a foul, a little bit soft, but a foul by the letter of the law. Twice Villa should have had impetus then to say, okay, look, both of these are wake-up calls. Eza scores a blinding goal, fair play. Villa don't really come back into it too well. Konsa has a header that's well saved by Dean Henderson, and then Mateta penalty missed. That's a lifeline for Villa. Didn't really take advantage of it at all, and Sarr scores his customary goal against Villa and then adds another one later on. I mean, 3-0. You can look at it and say, well, Palace scored late, so do they deserve that third goal? I think they did. this game could have finished 2-0, but really Palace deserved to have a couple of more goals. Rodgers with the first chance of the match, about the only time that he was involved in the game really, with any substance, and his shot flashing past the far post, Luke Dean picking him out. Luke Dean again having an effort, well saved by Henderson, tipping it around the post where I was sat going in on pretty certain, looping around a few bodies in the area in the penalty box, and good save by Henderson after he also saved a McGinn effort too. So Villa, it's not as if they didn't create any chances, but equally they didn't do anything anywhere near enough to go through and go to the FA Cup final, which is the big disappointment for me, because this is a massive stage and Villa didn't really turn up for the occasion, which is the biggest disappointment. And I don't know quite how to say this, but there's a way of losing as well, and of course losing isn't if you lose a game you're out of the cup. Part of you thinks, well, it doesn't matter, people will forget about it, but I don't think Villa performed anywhere near their best. This wasn't, it was a tight game in stages, but ultimately Palace had the better of the opportunities, and again with full value. Emery said after the game, sorry to the supporters because they were motivated and we just couldn't give them what they wanted, and then focused on the league as well, saying that's always the first objective. So did also talk about how only 5 teams have won this FA Cup more than Villa, so we have a huge responsibility. It's in Villa's history that they win competitions. Again, not the FA Cup for a long time now, but semi-final, and this isn't the semi-final. I know Villa won the semi-final against Liverpool a decade ago, but the point I'm trying to make is that they're here and here to stay. It feels like McGinn said as much as well after the game, in his media interview with the BBC, saying that the backing of the owners, the manager, everything's in place, that the club will stay here, continue to fight for these honours. So you can kind of look at that positive spin, but really it's very difficult to, after seeing what was a really poor performance from Villa, and again a group of players who were more than good enough to put a lot better on the pitch than what they did. And they'll know that, obviously. There'll be huge disappointment and frustration, and Emery asked for his players and fans as well to dominate frustration, dominate those emotions, controlling them, he means. Again, easier said than done, and it's hard to really look forward and look at Fulham right now if you're a Villa player, and obviously a supporter as well. It's you've just been knocked out of the FA Cup at the semi-final stage at Wembley, when again, massive opportunity. This wasn't the league leaders, this is a team who were in the bottom half of the table, and I know in years gone by that really does mean something. In the Premier League now it's so tight, the levels are so small in difference that this can happen. This isn't, I don't know where Palace are in the league table, are they 12th maybe? This wasn't 6th or 7th place against 12th, and there's a big gap. No, I don't think there is. In a game that is, of course, over the course of the season, Villa will be finishing it with Palace, you'd like to think, for decades to come. But on the pitch, in a 90-minute match, Villa weren't at the races and they weren't a match for Palace. And again, frustrating because this isn't anything new. As I said at the start, we've read the script before. Palace have got Villa's number, and unfortunately there's no way that they could have there's nothing on the pitch that suggests that they had worked them out. Palace had a game plan again and executed it very well. They have obviously some class players, but so do Villa, and that's where the frustration lies. They weren't very competitive really, Villa. Again, they're at a point in their evolution under Emery that they're always going to have moments in games because they're quality players, but when you're not going to match a team for intensity and everything else like that, especially against that Palace side who thrive against teams who aren't at the races, then this can happen. And again, 3-0 is a bit of a battering. In the FA Cup semi-final, these games are usually tight. Today, by the chances and the chances they made, it wasn't really. Again, they missed a penalty to I don't know, not sure where to go with this walk and talk now, literally where to go to find my car. I'm not going to look ahead too much for the last 4 league games, because we know what Villa need to do. They need to win each one of them. to have a chance of staying or getting back in the Champions League. Sorry, but it's just a bitterly disappointing day. It's knowing what could have been, because again, Villa aren't kind of praying on miracles here to win a trophy. They're good enough to beat any team in the world at Villa Park, but doing it on big stages like this, and even away from home, and not having the comfort of playing at B6, that's still for me something that they need to show under Emery. They've gone to places and won well, don't get me wrong, but it's similar, like European nights away from home. Villa, there's a handful of good results there. Leipzig, Bruges. I mean, you kind of stretch back a little bit if you want to alcohol. Something like that. I think I've missed one there. But the point being that home comforts have been a massive foundation for Villa's success, which is absolutely brilliant. But they just need that bit of mentality, I think, it's still maybe lacking. And Emery did say something similar himself, saying that Villa are gaining experiences, and they need to be mature with it as well. So with maturity comes performances that don't equal 3-0 defeats in the semi-final to Crystal Palace, basically. Again, I always say this at the end of Walk and Talks, but whenever it feels like a negative, I do believe that under Emery and the players that he's working with as well, who have developed so much under him, that a lot of learning will be taking place, and they can use this 3-0 defeat, although it's horrible right now, to their advantage in the long run.